Welcome to the Inside Pitch, episode 8. I am the show noob, also known as Zach. We are back with another episode. It's been a couple months, not gonna lie. Been busy with work. I hopefully am in a place where I can upload more consistently. But today, since we're about halfway through the season, we are almost at the All Star break. I thought we'd review the finalists. And should fan voting still be a thing after the review? Also, one of the biggest all-star snubs in recent history, if I recall correctly. I know Brent Rooker was a very, very big snub. I think not last year, but the year before. Not sure which one. Let me know in the comments which one it is. And maybe after we go all through these picks and finalists, let me know if there have been some other major snubs that I might miss this season, or what is your most egregious snub from the past like decade or so. Let me know in the comments. And also, we are on Spotify as well. So if you like to listen on Spotify, if that's your main way of listening, then hit me up over there. I do need to update the logo because it is different than the one on YouTube right now. And all those who are listening on Spotify, if you want to come over onto YouTube, we are actually showing some stats on screen on the video podcast. So if you're interested in that, let me know, or don't let me know. Just subscribe if you'd like to. And if you like this type of content after you listen to it, consider hitting that thumbs up button. It would really help me out. And yeah, I'll try to keep this going a little bit more consistently. And let's get into it. First off, the top overall vote getters in the American League and National League are Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani, respectively. And I think that comes as to no surprise to anyone. Real quickly, let's just go over what they're doing, although everyone probably knows how they're doing. Shohei Ohtani just got back on the mound, and he's having another hell of a year. I mean, on pace for almost 60 homers. He's hitting 295, 29 bombs, 11 steals. Yes, that's a lot down from last year. He's probably just focusing a little less on stealing bases, a little bit more on pitching now that he's kind of getting back into the swing of things. But 11 steals, pretty sick still. Pretty great. 396 on base, 649 slug, 1045 OPS, and a 189 OPS plus. My God, I mean, that's a hell of a year. Aaron Judge having an even better season, if we could have really thought. And he's been slumping a little bit. And he's still hitting 358 on base, 458, slugging 712. OPS is 1170. 1170. OPS plus is 223. A 5.7 WAR at this point. I mean, he's on pace for about a 12, anywhere from 10 to 12 WAR. And this is B WAR, by the way. He's 33 years old. I mean, he's a slam dunk Hall of Famer. So I think I think the fans did a great job for overall voting those two in the most. And yeah, here we go to AL. We're going to start with the AL. AL catchers. The two finalists are Cal Raleigh and Alejandro Kirk. I know Cal Raleigh, to no one's surprise, I did a video on him about a month ago. He's having a ridiculous year. It's going to be borderline, probably the best hitting season we've ever seen out of that catching position. Best overall season we've probably ever seen out of the catching position if he keeps this up. 4.5 B WAR. He's 32 homers, leads the majors. 275 batting average, 385 on base, 651 slug, 1036 OPS. 199 OPS plus, and he has absolutely thrown himself into a position where he could be the MVP of the American League. And I mean, I know Judge is there, and it's going to be hard for anyone to choose him over Judge at this point. That's a conversation we can have at a later date, or if you want to comment down below who you think is your MVP, because I know Cal Raleigh doing this out of the catcher position is something we've just never seen before. The record for homers as a catcher is 48, and he's 32, and it's not even July yet. It's June 28th on the day I'm recording this. 32 homers, 34 is his career high. So he's probably going to pass that, and he's obviously going to be the choice for starting catcher in the American League. I know he's going to be in the home run derby as well, but the other finalist, Alejandro Kirk, I mean, I think he deserves to be an all-star. Definitely not the starter over Cal Raleigh, of course. I'm not crazy in that sense. I'm a little crazy in other ways, but I'm not crazy in that sense. He's having a fantastic year. a nice little bounce back year. I thought we'd seen the best of Alejandro Kirk, but however, he's only 26 years old, 1.8 WAR. He's hitting 316, 7 homers, 363 on base, 439 slug, 802 OPS, 124 OPS plus. This is a similar season that he's having when he was an All-Star previously in 2022. So he's having a great year. He absolutely earned it, in my opinion. I'm going to be happy to see him in the All-Star game. It is good to see. Good to see. Another Toronto Blue Jay over at first base is going to be your finalist as well, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And another finalist that may surprise you, or at least he would have surprised you if you heard this. If someone told you in the future, like 3 months ago, that Paul Goldschmidt was going to be a finalist for first base after we all thought he was absolutely cooked, like well done, cooked. But those are your two finalists for the first baseman in the American League, Vlad Jr., Paul Goldschmidt. Vlad Jr. having another really decent year, maybe a little bit lacking in the power, maybe a lot lacking in the power, but he's got a 2.7 B WAR, 284 average, 11 bombs, 390 on base. That's a very, very good number right there. 449 slug, 840 OPS, OPS plus 135, right near his career OPS plus 137. This is kind of, I think he is well deserving of the American League starting first baseman job. However, he just signed that huge deal. I think we're all just expecting a little bit more power from Vlad Jr. I think there is an argument to have had for Jonathan Aranda to be here. He's hitting 331 with a 411 on base and a 496 slug. I think he's deserving to be in the conversation. I don't know if Paul Goldschmidt is really deserving to have it over Jonathan Aranda. He's having a fine year, 286 average, 346 on base and a 429 slug with 8 homers and 49 RBI. 32 RBI. My mistake. 42 RBI for Jonathan Aranda. Aranda's just having a better year overall. He's OPSing over 900. Paul Goldschmidt is OPSing not even 800 right now. So this is an example where maybe fan voting is got a little bit of Yankees bias, maybe not Yankees bias, but there's just more Yankees fans out there than they're a nationally televised team. Most often you're not going to hear about Jonathan Aranda unless you're kind of a diehard, unless you're a Rays fan, or you maybe not diehard. Maybe that's a wrong term to use, but Jonathan Aranda absolutely deserves it. He has twice the amount of FWAR as Paul Goldschmidt does. So it's kind of a letdown to see this happen a little bit. So this is a point docked from fan voting. Fans, come on. What are we doing? I love Paul Goldschmidt, but I'd say Jonathan Aranda should be there over Goldschmidt. Is there anyone else that is a little bit more deserving? I think Ryan O'Hearn is going to be the DH. On Fangraphs, he's listed in the first base category. Anyone else? Spencer Torkelson's had a great year. He's been having a little bit of a slumping. He's got 17 home runs, though, 1.3 WAR. You could argue that him and maybe even a couple guys like Nolan Schanuel should be there over Paul Goldschmidt. Maybe that might be a bit extreme. I still think Paul Goldschmidt's having a very, very strong year. Tyler Soderstrom having a good year. But in my opinion, it's kind of a big drop off. Like after Vlad, after Jonathan Aranda, it's a big drop off until you get to the next grouping of guys that are deserving of the All-Star voting, in my opinion, of course, when we look at the numbers. OPS plus 158 for Jonathan Aranda. What's Paul Goldschmidt's? What is Paul Goldschmidt's? 117. You can make an argument that Jonathan Aranda should be the one starting. He should be the one starting. So I think this is a classic example of just the star power names, because Jonathan Aranda has 3 WAR when it comes to B WAR. Vlad has, what do you want to say, 2.7. So that's close enough that it doesn't really make a difference, in my opinion. 2.7 WAR, 3.0 WAR doesn't really make much of an argument in my mind, but those OPS plus numbers are absolutely a discrepancy, in my opinion. But anyway, on to second baseman for the AL. We have Gleyber Torres and Jackson Holliday for the finalist In the American League, I already know a guy I'd want over at least Jackson Holiday. Maybe I don't know over Glaber, but Brandon Lau. What are we doing here? We're not voting Brandon Lau. That's two things against the Rays. I like what Glaber's doing for sure. 285 average, 8 bombs, 387 on base, 431 slug, 818 OPS plus 133. Jackson Holiday should not be there. I'm sorry. I love Jackson Holiday. He's a young stud in the making, having a much better year than last year, but he's 105 OPS. 105 OPS plus, my fault. 722 OPS, 10 homers, 256 average. I mean, this is a very good year compared to last year. 306 on base. That is not an all-star on base percentage if you're only hitting 10 bombs with an OPS plus of 105. What is Brandon Lau doing? Excuse me if I called him low at one point, but he's hitting 273, 17 bombs, 320 on base. Yeah, that's not exactly the on base you want, especially I literally just said a 300 on base is not what you want, but he's had 17 bombs. He's hit 17 bombs, OPS plus 124. What are we doing, fans? So far, the fans have made the right decision for positions 2 out of the 3. The wrong choice 2 out of 3. They chose wrong for second base and first base. Like, what are we doing? Gleyber Torres, I think, is one of the correct choices, but Brandon Lau has got to be there. And I think the position itself is a little bit thin, but you just can't have Jackson Holiday over there over Brandon Lau. I wish maybe there's a way I could see the votes. Maybe it was a close one. However, I don't think it was. But that's a little disappointing. That's a little disappointing. The next one out there, according to MLB.com, he had 120,000 more votes than Jose Altuve. Jose Altuve should not be there, in my opinion. He's having just a meh year compared to what we are used to. 263 average, 322 on base. He does have 12 bombs, but 322 on base and a 414 slug should not compare to a 320 on base and a 481 slug that Brandon Lau has. And he has more WAR, F WAR, and most likely B WAR. Plus, I haven't paid close attention to the American League lately. Dude, Jose Altuve has a negative B WAR, and he almost got in as a finalist right behind Jackson Holiday, which should not happen. Just shame on you, fans. Shame on you, fans. Maybe I should have voted. I did not vote. I've been so busy, which is why I haven't been posting lately. But I'm hoping, or not hoping, I need to make it happen. So if y'all see me not posting for a while, get on my ass, please. Pause, but tell me to post more, especially if you're enjoying the stuff. And if you're enjoying the stuff, remember to like and subscribe, or at least consider it. Hate watching is welcome too. So if you hate what I'm doing, but you like to hate it, thank you. And third base finalists, of course, can you guess Jose Ramirez? But the second finalist is Alex Bregman. Alex Bregman, he's had a great year. However, he's hurt right now. So I don't know. Is there just a big drop off? I know he's having a fantastic year, but is the drop off after those two just massive? I mean, Isaac Paredes is having a good year, 2.5 WAR. Ernie Clement surprisingly having a good year, 2.7 WAR. However, the counting stats really aren't there, but he's hitting 309, 350 on base and a 422 slug, which is a below 800 OPS, but still, like, he's having a good year. Yeah, I know he doesn't have the star power, and you could argue that Isaac Paredes doesn't exactly have the caliber of star power that Alex Bregman has. Surprisingly up there, Michael Garcia is 311, 368, and 483 slugging. My goodness, it looks like he's kind of figured it out. 8 bombs, 36 RBI, 17 steals. Man, it's almost like hard to argue that. But they have Junior Caminero here under third base as well. I mean, another example of just a Ray getting missed. He's got 20 home runs and 51 RBI, hitting 256. His on base is 299. Yikes. But he's slugging 512, so we'll allow it. How many games has he played at third base and shortstop comparatively? Because if he's if he's a primary third baseman right now, then I would probably say that I'd want Junior Caminero to be my finalist for the American League third base over Bregman, even though Bregman's been, I mean, we've already said Bregman's been doing fantastic. Yeah, Junior Caminero, he's 72 games started at third base this year. I think, man, all these Rays are getting snubbed, man. These Rays, these poor Rays fans, you deserve better. But at the same time, I could tell you to go vote. But I mean, I don't think that responsibility should be on you. Maybe it should. I'm not sure. I know what people can vote 5 times a day. Like, who has that time? Who has that sort of time? I mean, I would love to vote 5 times a day. I just don't have that amount of time. Even like Zach McKinstry too, 2.4 WAR. There's just a large group of guys right here. Isaac Paredes, we already went over. Ernie Clement, J Ram. Of course, J Ram's probably going to start. I mean, he's having another fantastic year, Hall of Fame bound for sure. He might be lacking a little bit in the power department this year compared to last year. 13 bombs, 21 stolen bases. Really wanted to see him get a 40-40 season last year. He didn't get that chance. That last game of the season kind of ruined him because he had one more game to hit one more bomb, but they canceled that game. But J Ram's going to start, so they got that correct. But Alex Bregman, I mean, I love Alex Bregman. I think what he's done is fantastic so far this year, but I don't think he should be a finalist. He's been hurt. But I mean, what he has done while he's been on the field is amazing. 299 average, 385 on base, 159 OPS plus. So maybe I'm wrong. Let me know. And I could be wrong. Maybe he does deserve to be the second leading vote getter. I literally had to change on Fangraphs the minimum playing time for them to show up in these rankings or this or the stats because he doesn't have the qualified games played, and yet he's still 6th in FWAR in all of baseball for a third baseman. So maybe he should be there. But I would like to see Junior Caminero there. I love the breakout. You could make an argument for any of the next like 3 or 4 guys. Michael Garcia, Isaac Paredes, Ernie Clement. You can make that argument. I know Ernie Clement's more defensive. He's gotten a lot of his WAR from defense, but still, it's notable. It's a notable season. Anyway, let me know what you think. Who would your finalist be outside of J Ram for third base? Because I think that J Ram's kind of a shoe-in. Anyone not voting for J Ram, I don't know if I can trust you. I just don't. I can trust you. You're free to your opinion. Shortstop. We have Jacob Wilson and Bobby Wood Jr., and I feel like those are the 2 correct choices for shortstop at just like a glance. I really like what Jacob Wilson's been doing. He's been having a great year. He's even got a little bit of pop. And never mind, I completely forgot about Jeremy Pena and how good he's doing. Oh man, that's tough. If there was any position where you need like 3 finalists, I think it might have to be shortstop right now because Jeremy Pena and Bobby Wood Jr., they lead the American League shortstops in WAR. Jeremy Pena, I think he's like top 5 WAR in baseball right now. He's got a little bit of a high BABIP though, so I wouldn't be surprised if his average kind of came back down to reality just a little bit, but he's having a fantastic year. He's always been great on defense, or maybe he's always been a reliable on defense. I know it's been kind of up and down, or he had a little bit of regression in the field. What was it, last year or the year before? Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, please. But he's got 11 bombs, 15 steals, 322 average, 378 on base, and 489 slug. Those are all better numbers than what Bobby Wood Jr. is doing right now. He's got the same amount of home runs. He trails in stolen bases by 6. Bobby Wood Jr. is playing a little bit better defense than him right now, but a 3.7 WAR. Actually, I am sorry, YouTube, that I have kind of been slacking on showing you the full picture. So yell at me in the comments next time. Fix it right now though. So yes. Anyway, I do think Jacob Wilson deserves to be there as well, but it's It's tough, man. Do I think Jacob Wilson deserves to be there over Jeremy Pena? Absolutely not. I think Jeremy Pena needs to be there. But I also think Bobby Wood Jr. needs to be there. But also, what Jacob Wilson is doing is incredible. He's got a very high on base. This is tough, man. Maybe Jacob Wilson does deserve there to be there over Bobby Wood Jr. Man, it's like I wouldn't hate you if you said. I think you can make an argument for either one of them, Jacob Wilson and or Bobby Wood Jr. But the problem is Jeremy Pena needs to be there. That's what the problem is. So another one, fans, what are we doing here? Let's vote for the right person. Not start. We need to. Okay, before we get into the rest of this, or actually, you know what? At the end, I have a solution. I have an absolute solution. Actually, never mind. It's probably not a solution. I'll let you know at the end anyway. But it's an easy thing to get past. But anyway, onto the outfield. Riley Green, absolutely should be there. Javi Baez, man, I love it. I love seeing the name. I don't know if I would have put him in there. Mike Trout, same thing. I love Mike Trout. I don't know if I would put him in there. Or Stephen Kwan, love Stephen Kwan. Love Stephen Kwan quite a bit. How are we doing in the outfield as far as American League? Like, what is the situation looking like? They subtracted the number one vote getter, Aaron Judge, so we don't have to think that they left him off. They didn't leave him off. He got the number one vote, so he's automatically in. However, Byron Buxton, I think Byron Buxton's got to be there. I think he's got to be there over Javi Baez. I mean, I love the story of Javi Baez, but Byron Buxton's having a hell of a year. 18 homers, 49 RBI, 14 steals, on his way to having a 30-30 season. One of the first times we've seen him actually healthy in God knows when. I mean, hasn't he only played like over 110 games once or twice or something crazy like that? Julio Rodriguez has a nice little case too. I mean, 2.6 WAR, 11 homers, 42 RBI, 13 steals. He's on his way to at least a 2020 season if he keeps healthy. However, he still has yet to take that step forward that many of us were hoping that he would. Zach McKinstry, again, didn't we see him in third base? So maybe he will be the utility guy. I think they have been starting to put utility guys in there. Correct me if I'm wrong. Jake Meyer's having a good season too. 307 average, 365 on base, 398 slug. Man, these Houston Astros have just been surprising. That can be the topic of another podcast or another video at some point. Cody Bellinger, kind of good to see. However, I don't know if he should be there over any of the guys we previously mentioned. Trent Grisham, he's been having a nice bounce back. I think he could make a case. Lawrence Butler, he's having kind of a down year from what we would have expected, but he's still got 11 homers, 32 RBI, 12 steals, around a 750 OPS. So who do I think these four guys are it? Do I think these four guys are it? I think Stephen Kwan and Riley Green are it. I do. Do I think Mike Trout is it? I don't really think so. He was hurt basically a whole month. He's not been hitting extremely well. He's 41st in FWAR and AL outfielders. He's got 0.6 FWAR. He's been playing very, very poor defense. He's slashing 230, 342, and 434. Almost an OPS of 800, which is kind of impressive for hitting 230. He's got 12 homers and 30 RBI. He doesn't deserve to be there over a lot of guys. He doesn't. He doesn't. Love Mike Trout, but he doesn't deserve to be there. Javi Baez, as much as I love the story, I don't think he's there. I don't think he deserves to be there over a couple other guys. I think Byron Buxton got snubbed. I think even maybe Julio got snubbed a little bit. Maybe. I know most of the voting is just looking at offensive numbers, but he's a hell of a defender in center field. And speaking of hell of a defender in center field, I think Cedar Rafaela is kind of made a case as well. He's starting to come around with the bat. OPS around 700, but that includes an on-base percentage of below 300. He's hitting 250, 8 homers, 11 stolen bases. Kind of cool to see him semi-breaking out, per se. I'm kind of curious to see what his splits are. Like, has he been hot recently? I'm interested to see. And also, has he played center field this whole time? I'm just not 100% sure. And how do I spell Cedon? It's with 2 D's. It's with the double D's. I mean, look at that baseball savant page right there. He's a little bit better than what he was, last year? Look at all that blue compared to a little less blue per se. And he does play a hell of a center field. Absolute hell of a center field. And yeah, he's had a great June. He's had a fantastic June, an 831 OPS. May was a 698 OPS. He has 8 homers on the year, 5 of them in June. And he's learning a little bit. He's got a better OPS against lefties than he does righties, but it's very, very comparable. 694 for righties, 723 for lefties. Anyway, I didn't mean to go on a Cedon Rafaela tangent, but here we are. I'll do that sometimes. But if I had to choose 4 finalists outside of Aaron Judge, mine would be Buxton, Riley Green, Stephen Kwan, and oh man, this is actually tough. I'm like I don't think I have any bias. I'd maybe choose Trent Grisham because of the power numbers, I think. And the slash line. He's got an OPS over 800. I think he does. I think he deserves it. I think he does, but you could absolutely make another case for Cody Bellinger. I still think you can make the case for Javi Baez because, who doesn't love Javi Baez? And I think it's a great story. But purely on performance, I think maybe that 4th one I'd have to go Trent Grisham. Anyway, that's the outfield. I'm just really happy the fans don't vote for pitching. Although I don't know if they do an all right job or not. So, designated hitter. The finalists are Ryan O'Hearn from the Baltimore Orioles and Ben Rice from the Yankees, who are both having pretty solid years. I was watching Talking Baseball the other day, and they showed Ben Rice's savant page, and my God, he is just ridiculous this year. He's having a good year. 235 batting average, 14 bombs, 29 RBI, and OPS plus of 123, 323 on base, 483 slug, 806 OPS. And real quick, I'm just going to show you his savant page because it is something that looks incredible. And I'd love to see Ben Rice continue just to improve. He's 26 years old. Look at all that red. Look at all that red. For those of you who are listening on Spotify, I'm going to just go down the top of the list and read the percentiles. His xWOBA, 97th percentile. Expected batting average, 91st percentile. Expected slug, 97th. Average exit velocity, 94th. Barrel percentage, 94th. And hard hit percentage, 96th. That's Ben Rice. Benjamin Franklin Rice. I don't know his middle name, but Benjamin Franklin's got a nice ring to it. Don't know why. You know why, but I joke sometimes. But anyway, he is having a great year. Let's look at Ryan O'Hearn. Ryan O'Hearn is the next finalist, and both of these guys are only there pretty much because of the Rafi Devers trade, or else he probably would have been there. But Ryan O'Hearn's been arguably the best player on the Orioles, best hitter on the Orioles, 296 average, 383 on base, 476 slug, 859 OPS. I think these two are absolutely deserve to be all-stars. Absolutely. I think there's no one else that stands out to me that has been primary DH. Well, never mind. I am an idiot and I can't think of things directly off the dome, but Brent Rooker. I think Brent Rooker should be there too. How many years are we going to snub Brent Rooker? My God, how will I ever catch myself when there's an obvious snub there? Probably not. I miss the obvious things sometimes unless I'm looking at everything. I'll forget because I'll be focused on what's right in front of me. And you could kind of make the case for Yandy Diaz as well. He's been really coming around lately. Brent Rooker, 271, 347 on base, 479 slug. He's got 16 bombs, 43 RBI, having another good year. And all these guys have negative defensive numbers because they're all DHs. 1.6 WAR for Brent Rooker. I still think Ryan O'Hearn deserves the spot. He's just got a little bit stronger of a slash line. The power numbers would probably be there if he does get as many plate appearances or at bats as Brent Rooker. You could make the argument that, Brent Rooker has more counting stats and he deserves to be there. And you can make that argument like if Ryan O'Hearn played every day, his slash line would be a little bit lacking. You can make that argument. And I would not fault you for that. Yandy Diaz, I like Yandy Diaz. Man, these four, this is tough. Who do I think should be the top 2 DH representatives for the AL? This is tough. Ryan O'Hearn and Brent Rooker, I think might be who I'd go with. But it's so tough because, Ben Rice has an OPS over 800. Yandy Diaz has an OPS of right around 800. But Brent Rooker and Ryan O'Hearn are a little bit above that, in my opinion. And I just think that deserves a little credit. I put a lot of weight in OPS, in case y'all didn't realize, or in case you didn't notice or pick up on that. But I do think Ryan O'Hearn and Brent Rooker would be my choices for DH. So, oh man, I'm not going to speak ahead of time. Like, I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, those two on the surface are who I'd pick, because from now on I'm not going to do that, because obviously Brent Rooker wasn't there and I should have noticed it. Anyway, that's the American League right there. And we're moving on to the National League. The catcher position, the finalists are Will Smith for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And who else? Who else was it? It was Carson Kelly. And I think what powered Carson Kelly was his ridiculous start to the season, first of all. He had a ridiculous start to the season. And I don't know if I'd have him. I think Will Smith is a clear-cut choice for the number 1 spot. Low-key, Hunter Goodman's been having a fantastic year. Drake Baldwin's been having a fantastic year. One of the only good players, one of the only guys that are playing very well for the Braves right now. Gabby Moreno's been having a good year, although most of his worth is defensively. And Gabby Moreno, Drake Baldwin, they have only played 53 and 55 games respectively. So, and same with Carson Kelly, 52 games. And so I think maybe it should be Hunter Goodman over Carson Kelly. Carson Kelly slowed down quite a bit. He had a ridiculous start to the season. And overall for the season, now he's hitting 259, 364 on base, 464 slug, which is a good season. Hunter Goodman, though, 14 bombs, 48 RBIs, 287 average, 332 on base, and a 512 slugging. I know he plays in Coors. I know. But I think he kind of deserves it. And my God, what else do the Rockies have? That might be the only thing they have except for depression. Depression is a very serious disorder. I don't mean to make fun of it like that, but seriously, it's ridiculous how bad they're doing. Feel bad for their fans. What is Hunter Goodman's split? I want to see his home and away splits. Home and away. He's got a 760. He's got a 760 OPS in home games and a 926 OPS in away games. So the Coors effect doesn't have it. He's only hit 3 bombs in home games at Coors, and he's hit 11 at away games. So it's just like, it's like the Coors effect doesn't affect him. So I think it should be Hunter Goodman over Carson Kelly. Love Carson Kelly and what he did this season, but let's kind of take a look and see what he did in April compared to what he did in the other months. And well, I guess he had 10 bats in March with a 1700 OPS, which is solid. His April 1256 OPS was 6 homers. He has not hit a home run in June in 52 at bats. And in May, he had 2 home runs, but his OPS was 620. OPS in June was 555. I think the only reason Carson Kelly's there because he had a great April, which, we should acknowledge that. We absolutely should acknowledge that. But I think Hunter Goodman has made the case that he deserves to be there over what Carson Kelly has done, in my opinion. So, come on, fans, what are we doing? First base, you got Freddie Freeman from the Dodgers and Pete Alonso from the Mets. On the surface, I think those are the two correct picks. I know Matt Olson has probably, I think I saw somewhere where he is the highest FWAR for first baseman right now, or he is the second highest FWAR. However, I would not choose him over Freddie Freeman or Pete Alonso with what they're doing right now. Freddie Freeman on a bum ankle is hitting 305 with a 375 on base and a 492 slug. 9 homers, 42 RBI. Excuse me. 18 homers for Pete Alonso, 65 RBI for Pete Alonso. His BABIP is 343, which is, I don't know why I said that. Compared to Matt Olson's BABIP, 298. Freddie Freeman, 362 BABIP. I don't know why I went over BABIP. I thought it was something else and I just continued. So I rambled a little bit. But however, WRC plus for Pete Alonso is 160. WRC plus for Freddie Freeman is 140. Matt Olson is 132. Another guy who's having a good season is Michael Busch. He's got an 862 OPS. That's kind of insane when you think about it. 13 homers. He's got a 1.6 WAR. Although I think I think Freddie Freeman and Pete Alonso are the correct choices. This is one of the only times where I do think the fan voting got it right. The fan voting got it right. Hats off to you. Good job. What else did they get it right on? They got it right for catcher in American League. And other than that, maybe third base for American League. Maybe. Other than that, there's not been quite a big slam dunk by the fans. Let's go look at second base. Ketel Marte for the D-backs. Feel like that's a slam dunk choice. Tommy Edman for the Dodgers. Not sure about that one. Let's go to the scoreboard. Let's go to the charts. Let's look at the chart. Ketel Marte absolutely should be the starting second baseman. 2.9 WAR, 15 homers, 32 ribbies, only 55 games too with 15 homers. He's got an OPS well over 9, almost 1,000 OPS, 307 average, 412 on base, 584 slug. He's only played 55 games, which is less than a lot of these guys on this list. However, what he's done in those 55 games is noticeably better than any of these other dudes. I mean, Tommy Edman, he's got a WRC plus of an even 100, and he's the second finalist that the fans voted for. He's also slashing 245 with a 289 on base and a 437 slug, which is barely an OPS over 700. Does have 10 homers, 1.4 FWAR. Bryce Terang is actually having a solid season, maybe not so much for the slug. He's another guy who maybe deserved a little bit of consideration. 283 average, 356 on base, and 370 slug. And 16 steals, 5 homers. He's played in 79 games, which is most games. Brendan Donovan's having a really good year. I think I would give him the second finalist vote for that. Maybe between him and Nico Horner. Brendan Donovan slashing 300 with 368 on base and a 423 slug. 124 WRC plus. Nico Horner, 2 homers. He's not a power hitter. 15 steals, which is solid. He's hitting 294. But the on base is a little bit lacking compared to Brendan Donovan at 339. Same with the slug, which is at 378 compared to Brendan Donovan's 423. Brendan Donovan, 2.2 FWAR, 2.1 FWAR for Nico Horner. However, that is very negligible. I wouldn't put too much stock into that. They're both similar. I'm not putting the 2.2 over the 2.1. But I'm going to give it to Brendan Donovan, I think. If it were me, I mean, I think what he's done at the plate has been superb. I know Nico Horner's got the steals. He plays better defense, but 124 WRC plus compared to 104 WRC plus is kind of notable. So I think I would give the edge to Brendan Donovan as the second finalist. Otto Lopez also having a nice season. His OPS is barely above 700 though. Gets a lot of his WAR from defense, same with Nico Horner, but he's got 8 steals and 7 bombs. And I do think I'm going to give it to Brendan Donovan over Tommy Edman. Once again, fans, come on, what are we doing? Third base, we have the finalists Manny Machado, and Max Muncy, maximum Muncy. The maximum amount of Muncy has been chosen as a finalist. Did we get it right? Did the fans get it right? I do think Manny Machado is the obvious, maybe not the obvious choice, but I think he's probably the right choice for this. Not to mention, like, it is a star power name. Matt Chapman is hurt. Matt Chapman was having a pretty decent year as well. Manny Machado almost hitting 300. He's hitting 295 with a 357 on base and a 487 slug. 138 WRC plus. The other guy that I would strongly consider, maybe Eugenio Suarez. Took me like 5 minutes to say his name right there. 25. He's had 25 bombs, though, 67 RBIs. That's pretty notable. That's pretty notable. Hitting 254 with 325 on base and a 568 slug. He's OPS is a shade under 900. And I think he probably should have been a finalist over Max Muncy. Even though, I mean, Muncy is having a pretty decent year. 13 homers, 53 RBIs. He's hitting 251 with the 377 on base compared to Eugenio's 325. But his slugging is about 100 points lower than Eugenio at 465 compared to Eugenio's 568 slugging. A lot of that is because of the 25 bombs, but that's 25 bombs, 67 RBI. That's pretty noticeable. That's I think I'd have to give the second finalist vote to Eugenio Suarez. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. Let me know in the comments if you would agree or disagree. I think that's the correct choice. Austin Riley, Braves fan here. He doesn't deserve to be there. I don't know what's wrong with him. Maybe a lot. Maybe this is just baseline his game now. I don't know. That whole Braves team right now is terrible. Anyway, not to go on a Braves tangent, but third base, that's who I'm choosing. Although, if you said you'd want Muncy over there over Eugenio, I'm not necessarily sure that I would make an argument against that. So you do you, boo. You do you. But I think the fans got it wrong with that. I think Eugenio deserves to be there. And I think this coming up here is a bit of an egregious one, maybe. On the surface level, it seems like it, because I know Mookie Betts has not been having a great year or even like an okay year. But the two finalists that have been selected by the fans were Francisco Lindor. Earned it. I think Francisco Lindor absolutely deserves to be there. 16 homers, 13 steals, 262 average, 330 on base, 452 slugging. Although the second one is Mookie Betts, and I don't think he deserves to be there over a lot of the other guys on that we're going to talk about here in a second. Mookie Betts has hit 9 homers, 256 average, 334 on base, and a 391 slugging. So unlike Mookie Betts, a 105 WRC plus. And that is just very unlike him. And there are a myriad of names. Is that a word? I'm not an English major by any means, so let me know if it's not a word. But there are a good 4 names, 4 or even borderline 5 names here that maybe deserve it over Mookie Betts. Well, I think it's 4. I think it's 4 names. Trey Turner, having a fantastic year. 11 homers, 20 steals, 302 average, 356 on base, and a 465 slugging, 129 WRC plus. I would vote him over Mookie Betts. Elly De La Cruz. I don't realize that Elly is having this kind of a year. I need to look and see what his splits are, because the last time I looked, which may or may not have been a long time ago, Elly De La Cruz was not doing this. He was not doing what he's doing right now. But what he's doing right now is hitting 279 with 18 bombs, 352 on base, a 511 slug, and an 863 OPS with 22 steals. I don't know if I said that yet. But he's having a fantastic year. Yeah, he's not doing well defensively, but he's been a great base runner, and he's just knocking the cover off the ball. Like, he's having a tremendous year. When did he start just turning it on. Oh, he started turning it on this month. I'm going to go OPS by month. March, I guess we'll go over it anyway. 16 at bats, 1346 OPS. Yes, it's only 16 at bats. April, 702 OPS. May, he had a 738 OPS. So, like, I mean, he's having a very kind of down year up until June, where he put an OPS of 1133 in June with 7 bombs, 16 ribbies, 11 walks. Okay, I want to point this out because this is just nuts. But Elly De La Cruz has 16 RBI so far in April, May, and June. I hope he passes that in June. It's June 28th right now, so he's got a couple more days. Walks, 11 in April, 11 in May, and 11 so far in June. Let's go over strikeouts real quick because this might be the big difference in why he's doing very, very well right now. 33 in April, 35 in May, and 18 strikeouts in June. So significantly different. I hope he doesn't get to the 30 mark because he'd probably have to go 0 for 4 3 straight days with the golden sombrero. But he's just having a hell of a month. And if this is going to be the new Elly with the minus the strikeouts, like this is going to be a very, very good season. Not to go on a Elly De La Cruz tangent, but it's notable. Anyway, I would vote for him over Mookie Betts. CJ Abrams, I might vote over Mookie Betts because he's had 11 homers, 17 stolen bases. He's hitting 287, 358 on base, and a 484 slug, 135 WRC plus, which is better than Elly De La Cruz WRC plus and better than Francisco Lindor's WRC plus. So maybe I don't even have Francisco Lindor as the leading candidate to start the All-Star game, although he does have a better F4 and he does have name power. But I don't know if I should put too much stock into name power. When should I do that? When should I put power or stock into name power? Maybe I shouldn't in this position because there's already so many names. Maybe I shouldn't ever. Maybe we shouldn't ever. I don't know. I feel like that's kind of subjective from person to person, opinion to opinion. But right now, I mean, you could argue Geraldo Perdomo deserves to be there over Mookie Betts. And in fact, you'd probably win that argument because he has 2.4 F4. He's got 9 bombs, 12 steals. Both are better than Mookie Betts. Well, 9 is tied with homers. 259 average, 356 on base, and a 416 slug for Perdomo. OPS just a shade under 800s, around 775 or something like that. I'm not going to do the math. I'm just going to do the average or the ballpark. Might as well do the ballpark because we're talking baseball, and that's where the term probably originated. But I would choose Abrams, Perdomo, Elly De La Cruz, and Trey Turner all over Mookie Betts. I would even say that the finalists should be Trey Turner and Elly De La Cruz. I was wrong to automatically think that Francisco Lindor would be a slam dunk. I do think he deserves to be there, but slam dunk may be a little bit exaggerating. So, it's it's honestly tough. I feel like this position, both in the National League and the American League, deserve like 3 or 4 finalists for real. At least 3. Trey Turner, Lindor, and Elly De La Cruz, they would probably be my 3 finalists. And I don't want to say that I'm saying that just because they're the top 3 in F4, but looking at their body of work and their slash line and their counting numbers too, I think they deserve to be there. I mean, CJ Abrams, his only counting number lacking is RBI 27. But his overall numbers are very solid, very good. So I'd have to go with those 3, but it's so tough to like, but if I had to go to gun to my head, I'm probably choosing De La Cruz and Turner. I think Trey Turner has quietly really like turned into a fantastic season because I think he was struggling at one point. I think he was struggling at one point. That baseball savant isn't that good looking, but I don't think it ever has been, if we're being honest. Not to go on a Trey Turner tangent, which we always do. But that might be why you're here. You might like my tangents, although I haven't posted enough for you to actually get used to it or get adjusted to it. Yeah, Trey Turner got off to a slow start. His OPS has climbed basically 100 points every month, 732 in April, 835 in May, and 916 in June. So he's on pace to have a 1200 September. That's what he's on pace for. But anyway, yep. I'm going to say Turner and Ellie De La Cruz. And if it was 3, it would be Turner, Lindor, Ellie De La Cruz. Outfield. Here's where things might get a little dicey because this is where things are going to get maybe a little controversial. So the outfield selections, the outfield finalists have been Pete Crow Armstrong, Teoscar Hernandez, Ronald Acuna Jr., Kyle Tucker, Andy Pages, and Juan Soto. Let me take a drink of my coffee real quick, even though it's 2 p.m. Why am I drinking coffee at 2 p.m.? That might be the cause of these tangents. But anyway, there's a couple problems here, I think. A couple controversies here. Let's go down the list, shall we? First off, Pete Crow Armstrong absolutely deserves to be there. Leads the National League outfielders in F-WAR. 21 homers, 24 stolen bases. On pace for a 40-40 year pretty much. Plays outrageously good defense. 268 average, 304 on base, and a 549 slugging. 135 WRC plus. Just both ends of the ball has been fantastic. I hope the breakout is real. Next up on the list, Kyle Tucker. I also believe deserves to be there. 283 average, 16 homers, 19 stolen bases, on pace for a 30-30 season. Man, that Chicago outfield. 283 average, 391 on base, 520 slugging, 900 something OPS, 152 WRC plus. I think he deserves to be there. Next up is Ronald Acuna Jr. Now, he's been back a month. But he is already 8th in the National League in outfielders WAR with 2.1. He's played 32 games, 9 homers, 4 stolen bases, 18 RBI. He's slashing 366, 482, and 652 for an OPS of whatever the hell that adds up to, somewhere around 1150. A little less, maybe. A little bit over 1100. However, do I think he deserves to be there? I don't think so. He's only played 32 games. I know he's in the Derby, which is going to be great. But if this is a weaker class, if this is a weaker outfield selection, I would say yes. But there are some names here who I think got left off this list that deserve to be there. And I just do. Teoscar Hernandez. I don't think he should be there. I do not think he should be there whatsoever. Where is he in F-WAR? I don't even see him in F-WAR in the top 30 on Fangraphs. So what are we doing here? He is 31st in F-WAR across NL outfielders with 14 homers. He's slashing 265 with a 298 on base, 492 slugging. So the OPS is it's a good OPS. It is 790 just because those are easy numbers to add. 0.7 WAR. I don't think he deserves to be there. I don't think he deserves to be a finalist. Andy Pages. He's actually having a very, very good year. So before you say he doesn't deserve to be there, I would absolutely rebuttal that. Give me 2 seconds. My Fangraphs seem to have crashed. Never mind. We are back up and running. Where are you, Andy Pages? He's 6th in F-WAR across NL outfielders. Having a fantastic year, and I didn't think anyone saw this coming. 289 average, 325 on base, and a 500 slug for an OPS of 825 because those maths are easy. With 16 bombs, 54 RBIs, and 6 stolen bases. Having a fantastic year. I do absolutely think he deserves to be there. He deserves to at least be in the conversation where he should be debatably be there. This is just such a deep position this year, I feel like. Well, a bunch of guys like in the same realm of skill and seasons overall being All-Star worthy. Last on the finalists is Juan Soto, who has absolutely turned it on. I mean, 259 average, a 397 on base. He just never stops getting on base, even though he was slumping or had a slow start to the season. 514 slug. He's got 20 homers, 46 RBI, 9 steals. So if this is a slow start, it's not a slow start anymore. Absolutely deserves to be there, in my opinion. That is a crazy, crazy turnaround, and he's having a hell of a month. But I'm curious to see what the month is, because look at that, look at that Savant page too. For those on Spotify, there's a lot of red. I'm not talking about the shirt I'm wearing, which is a red shirt. He's got a 1259 OPS in June with 11 homers, 25 walks to 15 strikeouts. Kind of nuts. So yes, I do believe he deserves to be there. However, there are some names that absolutely deserve to be there over definitely over Teoscar Hernandez. Let's get that out of the way. And I think over Ronald Acuna Jr. as well. I think Fernando Tatis Jr. should be there over Ronald Acuna Jr. His OPS is just a shade under 800, but he's got 15 bombs, 16 stolen bases, 258 average, 348 on base, and 450 slug. He's also been playing very, very good defense. So I think that is notable. I know he's been not having the best year. So if you want to make the argument that Ronald Acuna Jr. should be there over Fernando Tatis Jr., I wouldn't say you were wrong. I don't think I would make that decision personally, but I don't think I would say you're wrong. The next guy who I think should be there over both Teoscar Hernandez and Ronald Acuna Jr. is Corbin Carroll. This is a ridiculous snub, in my opinion, and I know he's kind of slowed down a little bit, but this dude, he's hitting 255 with a 341 on base and a 573 slug. 573 slug. That's nuts. That's a big slugging percentage. He's got 20 homers and 10 stolen bases. 10 stolen bases is kind of like not a lot for what you would think Corbin Carroll would have, but it's a good year. It's an all-star worthy year. He should be in the finalists. He should be a finalist. Also, is he hurt? But even if he is hurt, he should still be in the finalist voting. Also, Bregman was a finalist. He's hurt, so there's no excuse. And this might be the biggest snub of any of them. This is the snub I was talking about in the beginning, if I did talk about that in the beginning. But man, James Wood, he should absolutely be there. There's no way he shouldn't be there. I mean, you could argue he should be starting. You could definitely make that argument. PCA, Kyle Tucker, James Wood starting in the All-Star game. I could get on board with that argument because he's been nothing short of ridiculous this year. 278 average, 377 on base, 553 slug. He's hit 22 bombs, 64 RBIs, 10 steals. Having a tremendous year. Horrible defense. Really bad defense. He's got 3.4 FWAR. Imagine what his FWAR would be like if he played any sort of respectable defense. Absolute nuts, man. That's absolute nuts. He's having a fantastic year. He should be there. And real quick, let's just take a look at what he's doing compared to Teoscar Hernandez. Look at that on StatHead. It is just no comparison. No comparison. James Wood leading him in every single category, counting stats and average on base, slug, OPS plus. Ridiculous. He should be there. Teoscar Hernandez, I love you, but man, it's not your fault either. It's the fans. Get rid of the fan voting, in my opinion. Or we need to make some changes to it to make it more legit. I don't necessarily know how that would work, because here's what I was going to suggest. I was going to suggest on the ballot just putting a player's stats there, not putting their name or team. I thought on the surface that'd be a good idea. However, you can just go to Baseball Reference and look at the player stats and then match it up with the All-Star voting. And there you go. You're just voting for names at that point again. So maybe that's just not it. I don't know how to do this. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know how to solve this. That was probably not a good idea that I just had right there, but hey, I'm at least trying trying to come up with a solution for it, or maybe just go back to, or what was it beforehand? I don't even remember what it was beforehand. Maybe they should make selections like they do for pitchers. Maybe the coaches and teammates and players and writers, but not the Hall of Fame voters. Not the Hall of Fame voters, because they don't know what they're doing, obviously. But yeah, James Wood. Name a bigger snub in your lifetime. I don't know if there is a bigger snub, especially when you look at this Teoscar compared to James Wood. I know the Brent Rooker being snubbed was definitely a thing, and he shouldn't have been snubbed, but it happened. And that was another one, recency bias too, but I don't know what the biggest snubs have been over the last decade, last 2 decades. Someone let me know in the comments, or if you're listening to this on Spotify, come to YouTube and leave a comment, and also follow along on Spotify if you'd like to see more episodes. I know I've said it like 3 times, but if you like the content, consider subscribing, hit that thumbs up button. I want to keep doing this, and that will just drive me to do this more. And not saying you don't, it's not a necessity. You don't have to if you don't want to, but it definitely helps to see it. Definitely helps the channel. Definitely makes me want to post more. And I just want to post more in general too. Anyway, done with the outfield. And I think the last section is there not a finalist for NLDH? Is there not? What the hell? I'm not seeing it on here. Give me a second. Give me a second. This is interesting. I don't know why there's not a finalist for DH, or did I miss that? Maybe I missed it. No, it's not. It's not in this article. Give me a sec. Never mind. I know why there's not a finalist for it, because it's Shohei Ohtani, because he was the leading vote getter. Never mind. That's why. But anyway, that's going to be the episode. That's going to be the finalist. Let me know what you thought. Who got snubbed that you would like to see in there, and who are some pitchers, maybe like some under the radar pitchers that you kind of want to see, that you think should be all-stars, maybe some relievers or something like that. Because I have no idea what the reliever landscape is going to be for the All-Star game, because it's going to be wild. But I'm looking forward to see it. Anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.